people, we have to fight. Egungu, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Dandara, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Makandalo, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Nana John, Henry Clark, you see us.
We have to fight. Let's go fight.
Black people, we have to fight. Yasatewa, you see us. We have to fight.
Let's go fight.
Black people, we have to fight. Marcus Garvey, you see us. We have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Nana Zumbio, you see us. We have to fight.
Let's go fight.
Black people, we have to fight. Nana Hannibal, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Ancestors, you see us. We have to fight. Let's go fight.
We have to have the courage to construct our own reality. And that's what Garvey was talking about. Because he said he looked around, he didn't see what he thought should be there, and so what did he do? He didn't get depressed about it. He didn't get defeated about it. He said, I'm going to build the government that we need to have. Ooh. Where do you get that kind of boldness from? So we got to go all the way back to Garvey, who said he would come again. He said he would be here with us long it took. And I'm telling you that the way he comes back is in our work. Not honoring him in words, pomp, and all of that stuff, but honoring him through doing what he did. How many of us have the courage to do that? The man took on the world for us and in our name. And then we come to Sodai. And in this presentation of the paradigm, I'm going to make this like what it is we want to reach. So Sodai is translated clear word in Dogana language. And I use it to mean that here we gain understanding. This is sight with understanding. And it is seeing beyond what just we think we see with this physical thing. It's seeing beyond that. And so we gain vision, because that's what vision is. With vision, you've got to be able to use the imagination informed by the African spirit. And Brother Amos, who I work very closely with, was a good friend of mine. He taught me, and he would talk about imagination. Image a nation. Do you see? But that's got to be part of vision. To be a visionary, you got to see beyond this box here. You got to see beyond the Ma'afa. You got to see what is it that our people rightfully should have, and that's what Garvey did. Garvey had a vision.
Cruelty, insults, and torture can never force me to ask for mercy, because I prefer to die with head high, with indestructible faith and profound belief in the destiny of our country, than to live in humility and renounce the principles which are sacred to me. The day will come when history will speak, but it will not be the history which will be taught in Brussels, Paris, Washington, or the United Nations. It will be the history which will be taught in the countries which have won freedom from colonialism and its puppets. Africa will write its own history, and in both North and South, it will be a history of glory and dignity. Tenda Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great revolutionary warrior ancestors, because our ancestors are worthy to be praised. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodie, African power and African liberation for all African people. Greetings and welcome, brothers and sisters. Greetings, and welcome to this another Kimbunga Media live session as we engage with you, our dutiful, purposeful, beautiful, and melanated audience, brothers and sisters, on all of the issues that are affecting African people globally. And today, brothers and sisters, we return to the Congo. We return to the Congo as we stand with the people of the Congo against all forms of Bakra imperialism, brothers and sisters. Yes, indeed. We now beg no friend when we stand with our people in the Congo. And so we're going to get into our subject very, very shortly. Before we do so, just let me remind you, brothers and sisters, to please hit up the like button. To hit up the like button as you come through. Yes, indeed. Hit up the like button, brothers and sisters, and spread this revolutionary Pan-African energy across this social media space. And also share the link. Share the link far and wide. Make the people them know. Say Shakara is live, addressing the very important subject. Has President Donald Trump brought peace to the Congo and Rwanda? Has President, our good, dutiful President, leader of the free world, brothers and sisters, brought peace to our people and between our people in Congo and Rwanda. I'm sure the astute among you note the tongue-in-cheek nature of the question, because even the question itself is ridiculous. Even the question itself is ludicrous. Even asking such a question is sacrilegious, brothers and sisters. But in this day and age, we have to address sacrilegious questions. And in order to do so, we have our good brother Kambale Musavuli to assist us in going through all of the permutations therein. Before I bring our brother on, let me just remind brothers and sisters that next month, the month that they call August, is for Garveyites, the month of Mosiah. We celebrate the life and legacy of the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey and his revolutionary vision for African liberation and the work that he instituted through the masses of the Universal Negro Improvement Association and the African Communities League, brothers and sisters. There will be a much programming coming through Kimbunga Media in relation to this month, so do stay tuned. But I want to make sure that brothers and sisters, especially those who are in the UK, the United Kingdom of Great Britain, are equipped with what you need to know in terms of being able to join us for the Mosiah opening ceremony, brothers and sisters, taking place on Umoja Day, Sunday, the 3rd of Mosiah. This is the official opening to the month, brothers and sisters, and our keynote address will be on the imperative of nationhood, looking at the resurgence of Pan-Africanism on the continent and around the world, and the imperative of African nationhood, brothers and sisters, which was a Garveyite and remains a Garveyite vision. So we're going to be looking at that and addressing that subject. Nationhood, no respecters of colonial borders, not confined to the colonial borders, brothers and sisters, that have been drawn for us by Bakra imperialists. We are talking about nationhood in a universal African nationalist sense. Nationhood in a revolutionary Pan-Africanist sense, brothers and sisters. Nationhood in the context of developing nations that are designed specifically for the purpose of serving the interests of the masses of African people. Neo-colonialists need not apply. And so that's the Mosiah opening ceremony, brothers and sisters, taking place on Umoja Day, Sunday, the 3rd of Mosiah. We look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing you there. We look forward to seeing you there. Our question today, brothers and sisters, is: has Donald Trump brought peace to the Congo? And we are blessed to have join us this evening straight to Congo by way of the beautiful nation of Ghana, political activist, analyst, and organizer in our global African community. Let me introduce you to our good brother, Kambale Musavuli. Greetings and welcome, brother Kambale.
Thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to demystify what is happening, but thank you for giving Congo another platform.
My brother, it is our duty and our responsibility. You know, we do our people in the Congo no favors when we give Congo a platform. We're just doing what we should be doing in the spirit of Papa Patrice Lumumba, in the spirit of Pierre Molele, you know, in the spirit of Kim Pavita, you know, in the spirit of all of our ancestors who fought for our people, who hailed from what is today referred to as the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And so we are honored to profile and shine a light and stand with our people in the Congo. My brother, we brought you on some months ago to address what is taking place in the Congo, and you know you were able to join us for a show that was very, very well received by our audience, which was breaking down the political economy of the Congo, and that was extremely important. And since then, a peace treaty, my brother, has been signed. Yes, on the 27th, brothers and sisters, of June, the foreign ministers of Rwanda and Congo, namely Oliver Jean-Patrick Unduguhirehe, forgive my pronunciation, brothers and sisters of our King Rwanda brother's name, and the foreign minister of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Patrice Kwamba Wagner. That's an interesting surname right there. Traveled to the Congo, brothers and sisters, to engage in a pantomime, in a circus, in a photo op, with Marco Rubio, Foreign Secretary of the United States of America, and President Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. And this was billed to the world as a peace treaty. Finally, Brother Kambale, finally, after 20 odd years, nearly 30 years, finally, peace has been brought to the Congo and between Rwanda and the Congo. Is that the case, my brother? Are we finally at the point of peace?
You know, the more you spoke, the more I want to go in so many directions, right? So I'm trying to compose myself in making sure that people understand what is happening. In Lingala, there is this quote that sometimes we say, I say in Lingala, I explain, Nazola kisayo sanza kasiyo zotala musapi. That means I'm showing you the sun, but you're looking at the finger. Right? So we in this moment where Congolese have I've told the world where the sun is. But people are still looking at the finger because that's the most closest thing that they have. It has no historical trajectory of what has happened in the past 29 years, 30 years, right? And it makes it appear that a few people with suits and dress well in Washington, and remember how you even started, that Lumumba already told us we write our history in countries liberated, right? It's not going to come from Brussels, it's not going to come from Paris, it's not going to come from Washington or the United Nations.
Yes, sir.
That in 2025, we have Africans showing up at the State Department and at the White House every single month since Trump is in power, embarrassing themselves. So it's not just the foreign ministers of DRC and Rwanda embarrassing themselves. It's also all the African president, Mauritania, I can go on and on.
South Africa, let's not forget South Africa. Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly. So what happened is simply the Act of Berlin being signed in Washington rather than in Berlin. So if we understand what took place in 1885, right? Western nations sat down at the table to carve up the African continent and give the Congo to King Leopold II as his personal property, and saying that that land called Congo Free State will be a land where we will access the resources without taxation, not taking into account the lives of Congolese during that time. Trump did the same, right? Where he brought together Congo and Rwanda. Let's not forget, Rwanda is a U.S. ally. The belligerents in the conflict in the Congo are tied directly to the United States. They are very aware of what they're doing. They're providing them with weapons, with financial supports. This is why even in the text, they are writing what has unfolded in the RC for the past 30 years, right? So they're bringing a mercenary country, Rwanda, to the table. And they're making Congo sign a document. And when I'm saying making Congo with the willing elites, our own elites, right? Those who are running our country, are agreeing to that, to take not just control of the mineral resources, because that's where we may go to, but what is even very bizarre, they want to share the national parks of the DRC. So you really say, wait a minute, why are they talking about the parks? They're talking about the minerals. That's the obvious that we can't criticize.
Yes.
But they said the national park. So Rwanda is in the Congo because of a park? Do they want to have access to the gorillas? To the okapis? Like, what is it? So it is, as I told you, I may go in so many directions, but the essence of what was signed is that in 2025, Africa's future has been put on the silver plate for the United States using a pretext. The pretext of conflict in the Congo is the same pretext that King Leopold used in 1885. He said that there was an Arab slave trade, so we have to go save these Congolese. Trump is saying through the cameras, Congolese have been killing themselves with machetes. That's what he said to the press, which is not the truth, right? There is a war of aggression. So they're creating a narrative of what the conflict is about, but in the end, they are getting access to lithium, to cobalt, to copper, even our national parks, in the name of peace. It's a business deal. It is not a peace deal.
My brother, I neglected to ask you the first question I intended to ask you, so let me do that now. And you've given good context, so we'll come back to that in a second. In fact, we're not actually going off topic, but I just want to bring, as I've already done, the spirit of Papa Patrice Lumumba into the space once again, and just acknowledge that we celebrated his centenary on the 2nd of this month. Yes, and we held a show in his honor on that day. And we've been doing other shows leading up to that day. But I just wanted to give you a bit of a space to acknowledge the significance of that centenary, and feel free to put this particular treaty in the context of Lumumba, as you touched on. What does it mean in the context of the legacy of our Papa Patrice Emery Lumumba? And I also, if I'm not mistaken, you also celebrated another cycle around the sun very recently as well. So I want to say Makoto Koto, congratulations. I've spoken in the Shona language of Zimbabwe. And happy belated, my brother. And thank you for the work that you do on behalf of our people.
Thank you. I mean, but Patrice Lumumba is one of the Congolese elders told me many times is that he's an idea. It can be erased, but it comes from a process. We cannot talk about Patrice Lumumba without actually looking at the Pan-African process. Right? Though there was a struggle in DRC, that struggle of DRC during Patrice Lumumba time became much stronger when the Congolese connected to the Pan-African movement in 1958 at the All African People's Conference. That meeting in 1958 brought together 3 Congolese, Patrice Lumumba one of them. And in the presence of other leaders who were there, Fanon was there, of course, convened by Kwame Nkrumah, they realized that no matter what they did in Congo, if it wasn't connected to all the liberation fighters who were participating there, they would not be successful. And Kwame Nkrumah explained to Patrice Lumumba why it was so critical for Congo to be free. He even put it in his book, right? Explaining that already back then, they knew that the Congo River could provide electricity to the entire African continent. Kwame Nkrumah was writing about that. Think about it. In the 50s, he knew that this river will have that. Fast forward 2025, the World Bank is funding the building of the Grand Inga, right? The Inga Dam 3. Not for Africans, right?
Yep.
But we know Nkrumah was saying for African unity, we have to make sure to support the struggle. So as Patrice Lumumba returned and immobilized, and you read almost all his speeches from 1958 to the time he passed away, he always say, vive le Congo, vive l'Afrique. No, viva Congo, viva Africa.
Absolutely.
That in his Independence Day speech, he also referenced that. He was saying that we will show what Congolese people can do if they are left to their own devices in the Independence Day speech. But he also knew, in that same speech, to add for Congolese who are listening to the radio on the Independence Day, that we must connect to all the movement on the African continent fighting for independence.
Absolutely.
So every time I want to speak about Patrice Lumumba and what he means even now, I say that we must revive the struggle and learn from what people would say the mistake, but I'll call it experience. That in 1960, as we were negotiating independence, we fought for political independence, we took it, but there was a round table that most people don't talk about, right? We talk about the political round table. The economic round table, Congolese were not able to engage in it to be able to control the wealth. And that was one of the challenges of Patrice Lumumba. He said, why can't the Belgians allow us to continue to run our mine, no, the mining assets of the country, the economic aspect of the country. So that second independence, we never got it. In the round table, the Belgians kept everything up until now, right? That we're still seeing foreign powers. So now that we are the centenary and we are reading his writing, we are seeing the actions, right? I will continue to say that they show us the way to liberate ourselves. And the way was collaboration. The way was Pan-Africanism. Congo could not have become independent without a Pan-African movement that provided not just financial support, they also provided material support, they provided intellectual support to the struggle of the Congo. Today, as Congo is struggling to become independent, we can't say Congolese are going to do it by themselves. Because the forces that be are operating across the continent.
Absolutely.
So when I'm dealing with a young person in Senegal telling me that Paul Kagame is a great man, I'm saying we have a lot of work to do. That we must connect this struggle. There is a reason why he's coming to Senegal a lot. He's lobbying Jamaica. He's lobbying countries in West Africa because he's losing favor of the West. So now he's becoming the strong Pan-African. Let's come together as Africans when he's an agent, right?
Yes.
So I will end by saying that 100 years later, Patrice Lumumba's prophecy is happening in front of us, and that's the topic. And as I said a moment ago, he already told us that Africa's history is not going to be written in Brussels. It's not going to be written in Paris. It's not going to be written in Washington nor the United Nations. It's going to be written by African people from the north to the south of the Sahara, a story of dignity. We are writing that history right now when we're looking at the alliance of Sahel states. That we are there is a revival or revolutionary Pan-Africanism. And as the revival of revolutionary Pan-Africanism is taking roots across the African continent, we must ask ourselves, what did Kwame Nkrumah say about the Congo in Challenge of the Congo? As we are uniting and transforming, we need the heart to not be in the state of cardiac arrest. The heart of Africa, the center of the continent, the one where Malcolm X said that the young man called Patrice Lumumba is the greatest black man who ever walked the face of the earth. And he had, why? Because it could not be bought.
It could not be bought. That's right. That's right.
If that's the message, and we look at the Congolese leaders of today, can they be bought? Of course, we're seeing the deals that they catch. Are there revolutionary Pan-Africans fighting in DRC? Of course. Movement is embryonic, but people are still fighting on the ground to transform, especially the young people that we call Wazalendos. A few years ago, they spoke to us about the Wazalendo in DRC and saying that these are lunatics who are part of a religious sect. These were people rooted in African religion and tradition. And who were the first attack? The Wazalendo challenged the United Nations. And they killed them in mass by the Congolese military. People forget that. August of about 2 years ago. No, actually, it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. I'm mixing my years, but a year or so ago, in July, Wazalendos were massacred. Year later, the Wazalendos are fighting alongside the Congolese military. They're not paid by the Congolese military. They are patriots who say, we are now going to lose our land. Our land is the most important thing, and they are fighting.
Right.
So it's how do we remember that even in this contradiction of Congolese leaders selling out the country, which has been the history of the Congo for a while, which Lumumba even put in his last letter to his wife, about how they corrupted the leaders of the Congo to go against him and to cause the chaos. So we know the signs. Now in 2025, 100 years later, as his prophecy is coming to fruition, as the revival of Pan-Africanism is also happening, we must do everything in our power to connect with the revolutionary Pan-Africanists on the continent, but also in DRC, find out how we can concretely support the struggle, so that we don't witness another act of Berlin as we just witnessed in Washington a few weeks ago at the White House.
Absolutely, my brother. And just to crown this particular question, I call on all Congolese citizens, men, women, and children, to set themselves resolutely to the task of creating a national economy and ensuring our economic independence. Words of Papa Patrice Lumumba, spoken on the 30th of June, 1960, brothers and sisters. That's the day of independence. And the man said that we want the Congolese people to start beginning the work of developing a national economy to secure economic independence. The man realized that the program and the work was not done. And so that's why we celebrate a man such as this, brothers and sisters, you know, and his 100th birthday. My brother, to get back to the story of this so-called peace treaty, right? Yeah. The question of this so-called peace treaty. Not too long after things flared up at the beginning of this year, we started to hear whispers and reports of Tshisekedi trying to seduce Donald Trump, to come to the Congo and intervene, based upon the idea that he doesn't have to go through Rwanda to access the resources of the Congo, that he can come straight to the Congo, and the Congo is open for business. Just take us on a bit of a trajectory in terms of how we got from that point to these foreign ministers ending up in Washington D.C. at the end of last month.
And it's also important to know that those who rule the Congo are the elites, right? I'll get to Tshisekedi, but there is a video of Kabila online that you can find where he's literally saying, I invite to the Congo the business community, just like Stanley did back in the 1800s. So Kabila was the president of the Congo, speaking to the press, saying he's inviting the business community like Harry Morton Stanley did in the Congo. Who was Harry Morton Stanley? Literally the guy who went across the Congo, getting traditional chiefs to sign document they had no idea, and they used that document in the Berlin conference, right? And he was a journalist of the New York Times, Times Zero back then. Now fast forward to Tshisekedi, right? There has been a huge flare of violence in the DRC for the past 3 years. But the proxy rebel militia M23 is the name that we know now. The last episode I went through in details to explain who is the M23, where they come from, and so on. It's just the same rebel group changing their names like Blackwater. That group is backed by the Rwandan government, the Rwandan military. They provide them with sophisticated weapons. These guys have surface-to-air missiles in the forest in the Congo. They have anti-drone radar in the forest in the Congo. They have all these sophisticated weapons in the middle of nowhere. So we know where the weapons come from. Due to the fights over time and the inadequacy of the Congolese military to be able to stop them, we have our own internal challenges with the Congolese military, the chain of command, corrupt leaders, and so on. These rebels were taking town after town. And as a sign of desperation, right, because they actually felt, I think up until last November, that the situation is going to get worse. But we're talking about Trump. But what happened in November? Avril Haines, the director of national intelligence at the White House, flew into the DRC and flew into Rwanda. She met the president of the Congo. Let me change the sentence. She summoned the president of the Congo to go see her at the airport. She didn't meet him in the palace, right? She was flying in. She landed in Kinshasa and said, hey, come and meet me at the airport. So the president of the Congo got in his car quickly, went to meet her at the Njili airport.
Stool pigeon.
After Kinshasa, she flew into Kigali and met Kagame at the presidency, the Igoro village, right? So that's where they met. And after she finished that tour, she flew back and put out a statement. From the US side, it's been very clear that the M23 is back and supported by Rwanda. So she hinted in the statement that they are negotiating a truce, right? Some type of ceasefire. She didn't go to meet the M23. She went to meet Kagame and Tshisekedi. And the reason why she's meeting Kagame is because she's the director of national intelligence. She knows that hey, boy, Kagame is doing that.
Yes.
That truce didn't hold. Trump comes, it's the same mechanism, right? But because of the desperation of the Congolese government, particularly Tshisekedi, in not being to stop the advance of the M23 as they were taking town after town. And we know today, according to the UN Group of Experts report, that at least 7,000 Rwandan soldiers, well equipped, armed by the US, are in the eastern part of Congo. And as you move, they're not, they are moving, actually, they're not getting any resistance. So that's a threat to Tshisekedi. We've seen that before in Congo.
Yes,
Mobutu was toppled by a rebellion coming in with Rwanda and Uganda behind. Laurent Désiré Kabila was assassinated, but the rebellion started the same way. So in the history of the Congo, we are very aware of Rwanda and Uganda's invasions and how it could get to Kinshasa. So the president of the Congo decided to send one of his advisors, Patrice Lumumba, to Washington, D.C. with a letter to Donald Trump directly. If you fast forward, if you move back, actually, you will notice that anytime Trump was asked about the Congo or he made a comment about the Congo, it was either derogatory or he didn't know what he was talking about. He would say things such as, there are Congolese criminals, coming into the US, we have to deport them. They're releasing them from prison and moving them to the US. Even under his presidency, he did put Congo in the list of countries with terrorists, and another one for visa issues. But then all of a sudden, after that emissary, he was able to get to Trump through probably lobbyists in Washington. The letter, which has been seen by some newspaper, and I've been quoting African Intelligence quote this letter in stating that the president of the Congo sent a letter to the president of the United States saying that they are seeking support from him for peace and stability, right? To bring in security in exchange of $3 trillion worth of mineral resources in Congo. So that's the letter that they put on his table. So Trump says, oh, wait a minute, $3 trillion to do what? Oh, telling our boy in Kigali to stop? Okay. Who's available? So since that time, since the emissary time, many things have happened. There have been other members of parliament. They've also hired their own lobbyists, lobbying the Republicans. There's been, for the first time, probably in Congo's history, right? I actually think that's actually the first time in Congo's history, a Congolese president was on air on a major US channel, speaking in French, translated in English, and that channel was Fox News. Tshisekedi had a prime time interview, I think it was like 8 p.m. on Fox News, where he was literally talking to the journalist, and the American people could hear what he's talking about. So there's been a lobby force to make sure that this narrative of peace and access to the resources is given, because it's it's good for Trump and his business partners. I mean, even think about who's negotiating, right? The person negotiating the peace deal is a Trump family member, right? Bulos.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Bulos' son married Donald Trump's daughter, Tiffany, if I'm not mistaken. So literally, he's from Donald Trump. It's fine.
Right.
When I spoke to a few Nigerians, they said, well, we know the Bulos family. No, the children are born there. They have businesses in Nigeria, but they don't usually connect and say that we are Nigerians.
The Nigerian.
Even in the press, they're saying Lebanese American. But people are forgetting that the children are born in Nigeria. They have business in Nigeria. And through his network, that's how I supported the Trump campaign. That gave you already the orientation. But he's now the special advisor for Africa at the State Department, a recommendation from Trump. So he has his family member going into the Congo, negotiating this deal, engaging also Qatar in the process. But in the end, right, if he works for the Congolese elite, it will protect the power of Tshisekedi for years to come.
Right.
For the US, they will have mineral access. For Rwanda, it's just a little slap in the wrist.
Yeah.
Because that process that they're engaging in doesn't deal with the fundamental issues that we want. Our peace is not what they designed in that paper. When Congolese are talking about peace, they're talking about my brother, my sister, my mother, my father, my family members have been killed. I need justice.
Yes.
Even this year, from January to now, over 3,000 Congolese have been killed. Not only that, since the signing of the agreement in Washington, Congolese are still being killed.
Right.
And we Congolese are saying that this peace they're discussing is not stopping the killing, one. And two, you can't just tell me that my brother who was alive in January, I'm going to speak about Delka in Dingo, the Congolese artist who was shot by the M23 in the city of Goma.
Yes.
We can't just say, oh, because Donald Trump facilitated this piece of paper between Rwanda and Congo, let's forget that the M23 shot a Congolese artist, a bullet in his head while he was shooting a music video.
Yeah.
We can't forget that. So,
and if I'm not sorry, if I'm not mistaken, the video was about the current situation and a call for peace. If I'm not mistaken, it was actually a call for actual peace, and exactly. Justice. You know. So yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, for Delka, the reason why I'm bringing his name always, that young man was unfortunately, now that he's dead, a patriot. He didn't worry about his own well-being. What he cared about, when you listen to his music, he cared about his land, his people, and wanted peace in his country.
Absolutely.
And he was in Goma when the M23 was taking over that city in end of January and so. And he was in Goma not because he was in a house. He was in Goma because he was in a prison cell.
Right.
Why was he in a prison cell? Is because he was critical of the Congolese government.
Right.
And he made a song where he was criticizing how the Congolese military and politicians are behaving. They put him in jail in his hometown and they transfer him into a prison cell in Goma. So when the rebels took over Goma, he was in prison. Of course, the prisoners were escaped. Unfortunately, many died, mostly the women. Some were burned alive in the prison, unfortunately. But there is a video of him when he escaped. So I want to paint a picture for you to understand how popular and how loved he was by the people.
Yes, yeah.
The M23 is taking over the city. Congolese army is fighting the M23. People are being killed. He escapes prison. People in town are also trying to protect themselves around him. And there is a young man who sees him in the streets. It's like seeing Tupac. He's our Tupac, right? So you seeing Tupac in the middle of the street, and the young man takes a camera and start filming with a selfie-style live stream. Say, I'm with that guy, Indigo. He's free. He's free. And he's like sharing the video. That's one of the last videos before his death, right? That you see him with somebody while the rebels are fighting the Congolese army. There is a person happy to see Delca Indingo free from prison. But when he came out, it took 2 days for him to do something. Because he was living in a city under occupation of the M23. He looked at his reality. He's an artist. He decided to go to a studio and he made a song about the M23 in the territory occupied by the M23.
Territory, yeah.
He released it the night before his death, and the day of his death, he was shooting a music video for that song. And while he was shooting a music video, one of the M23 soldiers came and shot him in the head. The video is there, not of the shooting of his body laying down, people sharing what just unfolded. But even though the story is so gruesome in the explanation, and him himself considered himself a Wazalendo, and there are many young people who are Wazalendos in the eastern part of the country. Wazalendo is the name of I don't know if I should call them reservists, but young patriots in the Congo who are fighting to protect the land.
Yes.
And he also used the arts. So when you hear his story, and there are many other stories I can share of young Congolese who have died, they carry the legacy of Patrice Lumumba. Because when you read Ludo de Witt's The Assassination of Patrice Lumumba, in the introduction, he says the way Patrice Lumumba was killed was to send a message to Africans that there should never be another Patrice Lumumba again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of just how gruesomely he was killed. If you see how he was killed, say, why would you want to be Lumumba? But surprisingly, we have many more Lumumba since of Congolese who will not stop fighting until Congo is free. Be it under Mobutu, be it under Laurent Desire Kabila and Tshisekedi. And Delca Indingo, the reason why I bring up his name is because he represents that youth, that Congolese youth that refuses to give up the struggle, and they continue to fight to see a free Congo.
My brother, I want to thank you so much for bringing our brother's name and sharing his story. I've consistently tried to, in our analysis on wherever it is, Congo, Haiti, Sudan, wherever, to ask as much questions as possible, profiling the voices of the people on the ground, because that can get lost in a lot of our political analysis sometimes, and it's very, very important. So thank you for bringing our brother's story. Political education has to do more than introduce our people to complex concepts and highfalutin terms. It has to be more than about intellectual political point scoring. We if we're not connecting with our people in a very personal way, then we're not really engaged in political education. And so I appreciate you doing that. And in that spirit, I'd like to ask you, what impact, if any, has the signing of this peace treaty had on the ground for our people in the Congo? You mentioned that there is still killing going on. Has it lessened, in any way, shape, or form? Has there been a recession of troops? According to the and we're going to get into the details of the treaty in a second, but one of the details is that the M23 troops, or sorry, not M23 troops, sorry, quote unquote Rwandan troops or foreign troops, are supposed to leave within a period of 90 days, or something like that, which is interesting, because Kagame was asked whether Rwandan troops are in the country some months ago, and he said he didn't know. So at least the fact that that's in the treaty would suggest that is a confirmation of the fact that there were Rwandan troops in the Congo. But is any of this taking place? And most importantly, how is it impacting our people on the ground?
From the Congolese government side, the movement is that they have been on over time trying to convince the Congolese people this is actually a good deal. I don't know how many press conferences they've held, because not everybody in Congo is aware of what took place. People are hearing about it, due to access to information. Not everyone has. But because the government has access to the national television and the airwaves, they have been spending a lot of time inside of the Congo to explain this deal without actually reading what they signed. So they'll say that this deal is doing this deal is holding Rwanda like this, right? So they're creating a narrative, but people are seeing that through. And I'm sharing that because it's been fascinating to me how many times for the past few weeks they keep going to the airways, which means that the Congolese are not buying the story. Right? We know what's in the documents.
Right.
So on the government side, they're spending a lot of time trying to explain what
Right.
they signed, because they know that within the Congo, people are brewing to explode. That this has unfolded. In terms of Rwanda, particularly Paul Kagame, he's held meetings, public meetings, where he has shared his views, that he appears not to be happy with the deal, right? Because he's criticizing it at some level, but he's more, I think the reason why that's my own personal view, the reason why he may not be happy with the deal is not for the same reason as us, is that he's losing control of the supply chain to American companies without him having a say. Because for Kagame, right, if you understand who he is, he's the monarch, right? He's the son of the sister of the queen. He's the queen, the king and the queen that were toppled during the Rwandan Revolution of 1958, if I'm not mistaken, right? So when they toppled the monarchy, they fled Rwanda, but now they are back in power. I don't know if we should use this comparison because I can't stand France, but I'll use it for just the narrative. So imagine someone tells you that Macron is a descendant of the French monarch whose head were beheaded in centuries ago on July 14th. Right? That's the context to understand that the people in power today are the monarchs. And they have an expansionist mentality which goes beyond Congo. And Congolese have been talking about the Balkanization, that these people want to take a part of Congo, right? But it's not just the Congo, it's the region. They actually want to create an empire, right?
Yes.
So that process may slow down their ideas. And it definitely slows down the control that they have on the trade, even though American corporations are already operating. But they say in how it will happen is not the same. Now, for the people, the deaths have not ended.
Right.
The all eastern part of DRC, the Kivus, right? The vast majority of it is under occupation by foreign military.
Right.
You know, every journalist who has gone to the east, who has gone to interview the M23, they all see these Rwandan troops. And it's so frustrating to me when they come to the news feed, say, I'm in Goma reporting, I spoke to Nanga, I spoke to, don't know who, Bertrand Bissuma and others. This is what the M23 is saying. But you saw the Rwandan soldiers. How come you're not reporting on that?
Yeah.
And people are being killed. Some people were activists on the ground. Some of them have fled the area because they were getting a lot of threats. We've had some of them leave the city of Goma and Bukavu. There are still others who are there. Some have gone underground. Bodies are being found every week in different places, in septic tanks, in the streets. And then when you find out the body of the person, and you find out that it's actually one of the young activists. And worse, what is actually worse, which is also very scary for parents, a lot of young men are being forced to join the M23. So they are kidnapping many young people and taking them to these training camps. And if you refuse, you are killed. So many young people are just being forced to fight. So imagine you already have 7,000 Rwandan soldiers, and you have young people who are being forced to fight. So guess what they're going to do to these young people? They send them to the front lines when they're fighting the Congolese army, and some of them may be killed if there is confrontation. So that's the reality of the people. And we really have to find another word for that deal. It cannot be called peace deal or even a deal. It's a business contract.
Right.
You know, like it's like some contract that they sign for their own benefit, using the
Yeah.
word peace to make people think
Yeah.
that it is. But unfortunately, there is no impact beside what I share from the Congolese government
Yeah.
over time on propaganda, from the Rwandan government losing a bit of the control that they had on the mineral trade by having American company now coming full force, right? Now we see now their faces. And for the Congolese one living under occupation, still being killed, still being forced into the M23 to fight the Congolese army, and the situation is not good for them.
My brother, let's get into some of the details of this business deal, so-called peace treaty, as you've referred to it. Yeah. So some of the highlights, or the main points within it, speak of the territorial, integrity of both Congo and Rwanda. Respect therein. And then they're talking about, within that context, resolution of disputes and the prohibition of hostile acts. And we move on to point number 2, which is disengagement, disarmament, and integration of non-state armed groups. So that will include the M23 and the AFC. And then we have 3, joint security coordination mechanism. Then we have 4, refugees, internally displaced persons, and humanitarian aid. And it speaks about, all of those different categories and the right to return and so on and so forth. Then it speaks to MONUSCO and other multilateral support. Yeah, so this gives now the United Nations the authority to, and other entities, to enter into the Congo under the pretext of solidifying this particular treaty. And then point number 6 is a very interesting one. Point number 6 speaks of regional economic integration framework. And I'll read a section from this one. It says, the party shall use this framework to expand foreign trade and investment derived from regional critical mineral supply chains, and introduce greater transparency, which shall ensure illicit economic pathways are blocked and both parties derive greater prosperity, especially for the region's population, from the region's natural resources through mutually beneficial partnerships and investment opportunities. Yeah. So again, the party shall use this framework to expand what? Foreign trade and investment. Okay. And then it goes on to talk about bilateral integration. So agreement between the 2 parties. And then regional integration. Now I'll read that section as well. It says, additionally, the key partners, the parties commit, with key partners, yeah. So additionally, with key partners, not this language, the parties commit to explore options to link the framework to other international or regional economic development initiatives, including in infrastructure projects. And then the last point under this regional economic integration framework is economic oversight. Yeah. And it goes on to implementation of dispute resolution, final provisions, and then entry into force. Right. So it goes into all of those things. Now, my brother, let's discuss this regional economic integration first and foremost. Give us a breakdown, my brother, of why the hell this is in, and the interest of foreign investors is included in a peace treaty between Rwanda and Congo. Why is that so important, my brother?
You made a point earlier where you stated that the fact that Rwanda is signing this agreement that day is pretty much the fact that we know that they are in DRC.
Right.
And then it also helps us in understanding the conflict better, because the Western press, the Western media, they tell us that the conflict in the Congo is about tribes, right?
Tribal war.
In that whole peace deal, did you see an ethnic group mentioned?
Not at all. None.
In the regional framework, is there any discussion of ethnic conflict?
Yeah.
No,
right? No, not
They're
at
very
all.
direct about what they want. And that is why when we look at this treaty, right, and they're calling it peace treaty, but common is not a peace treaty. What does a regional economic framework have to do with the conflict in the Congo? There's then we know what we've been saying. So people can go back to what Friends of the Congo have said in the past, what I've said in the past. Say, I always state that the war in the Congo is a resource war waged by U.S. and British allies, Rwanda and Uganda, who invaded the Congo twice in 96 and 98, and continue to support proxy rebel militias for the control of these resources. So if you put that sentence and you look at the deal, they're literally showing us their face, who they are, right? That what they are interested in, and one of the line which I think is fascinating that just exposed them in that section 6 is the first point, the bilateral integration. Just that first sentence. Under the framework, the parties shall launch and or expand cooperation on shared priorities such as national park management. We have 6 million Congolese dead in the Congo for people to talk about national park management? That they have to create a regional framework around our parks? What is actually going on? Right? So the section 6 is literally showing us what is Western interest in DRC.
Absolutely.
Critical minerals. And these critical minerals are also in the park. And the park that they are talking about, even though they don't mention it by name, is the Virunga Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage. You can't touch that park. There is a documentary called Virunga on Netflix that if you watch it, you will notice that the M23 is in the documentary, right? Makenga is speaking in it, where the journalist is asking him about the oil in the park. I say, if any oil company come to us, we can negotiate. A rebel is saying
just to clarify, brother, Makenga is the head of the M23. Just want to clarify that for those who are listening. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Sultani Makenga is the military head of the movement.
Yes.
He replaced someone named Kundabatware, Laurent Kundabatware. I mean, we'll get into it toward the end. There is a new UN report that's been leaked to the press that speaks about that military command, which we'll get toward the end. But the point that I'm making, that the critical minerals is a national park, that it's not supposed to be exploited. That's where the remnant, even mountain gorillas are. But now, the park is in the Congo. What does that have to do with Rwanda? Why do we have to have it?
A bilateral,
right?
Yeah.
So it shows the intent that they want the mineral resources to be exploited.
Right.
They want it to go into a chain that's going to pass through Rwanda. The reasons, I believe, is because Rwanda, for the past 30 years, has set up shops for the laundering of Congo's mineral resources. So if you, quote unquote, legalize it, the economic mechanism already exists. Yeah. So they want to keep that illicit trade by having Congo sign on to, they say, yeah, we're allowing these minerals to still live through the area. But that section really exposes them. For the international partners, you said it well. Why are you talking about this mineral for regional integration, but you're looking at the international market? It's not the way we're thinking about developing Africa. We're not thinking about how international partners are going to use our minerals. Right? So we want to find out, right, in a very good scenario, if Congo has had peace with Rwanda before. You know, Rwandan people are our brothers and sisters. So I'm understanding that it's the elites and the ruling government that's causing the chaos. So we've lived at peace for centuries in that area, right? Now, all of a sudden, a neighbor country wants to have a deal for mineral resources. Why do you have to go to Washington for that?
For that,
if Rwanda is interested in managing parks in Kinshasa, go to the Ministry of Tourism, propose how you're gonna best manage it. You don't need Donald Trump.
You don't need Donald Trump for that. Yes.
But so for every single one of them, Washington is not needed. But Washington will argue that's the incentive for them to stop. Then you
For
say,
them to,
oh, that's the incentive. So they're
yes, yes,
fighting for these minerals. For
yes.
whose benefit? Because it's definitely not benefiting the Rwandans.
Right,
So that
right.
section 6 exposes who has been beyond the war, and they came to the TVs calling it a peace deal. They showed us the document, they published it, that we can tell people, go to section 6 if you really want to understand the conflict in the Congo. Ask yourself, who does that benefit in Congo or Rwanda? No one, but it's benefiting Washington.
But brother, when I first heard about the thing about national parks, what was brought to my mind is our good brother Rutendo Matinyarare from Zimbabwe, who's been a fierce Kagame critic for a number of years, and suddenly ended up in Rwanda apologizing to Kagame and the people of Rwanda for cussing them for the better part of a decade, and then said that, you know, when he went to Rwanda, and he saw the attention to detail and how the flowers were blooming in the streets of Kigali. So when I heard national park, I was thinking maybe they want Rwanda to come in and grow some flowers on the streets of of, of Kinshasa and Kivu and wherever, and make the flowers bloom or some stupidness. It's ridiculous. And let me just read that section, because that you spoke about in terms of the bilateral integration that contains that part about the national parks. It says, under the framework, the parties shall launch and or expand cooperation on shared priorities such as national park management, and you mentioned this earlier, hydropower development, de-risking of mineral supply chains, joint management of resources like Lake Kivu, and transparent, formalized end-to-end mineral value chains from mined to processed metal that link both countries in partnership as appropriate with US government and US investors. Yeah. So this is the peace treaty now. Yes. Between Rwanda and Congo requires US government and US investors involved in the process. Right now, you mentioned earlier about the issue of infrastructure. I had a conversation, my brother, with our good brother Heru Oforiata some months ago, and we were debating the merits of Kagame, and he had made the point. I was asking him why so much of the minerals from Congo find their way to Rwanda and are being sold from Rwanda, and his assessment of it was simply the fact that Rwanda is contains the only coltan refinery in the region. Now, you know, the fact that that refinery was built by a British corporation, you know, right? You know what I'm saying? So the point is that what we see here is the formalization and legalization of the fact that the West has ensured a certain level of infrastructure in Rwanda that it has disallowed from developing in the Congo. And so now they want to make that relationship, that state of play legitimate, right? But your essential point that you raised, and I want to highlight this point, that in order to do that, Rwanda didn't need really to go to America. In fact, when we listen to Patrice Lumumba, who we are celebrating this year, that relationship would have developed organically because of the fact that Lumumba saw the independence of Congo as a step towards the liberation of the entire African continent. He spoke about regional integration. He spoke about cultural exchange. He spoke about the economic breaking down of economic borders between African states. Yeah. So what? So this seems to be, my brother, and this is the question now, to be a perversion of the Pan-African vision, because somebody listening to this may think this, but you lot are Pan-Africanists. You lot believe in regional integration and the breaking down of economic borders. So why are you complaining right, that this is happening now?
So I am in Ghana.
Yes.
And I've been working with a few people here on this close, now my day job, right?
Right.
So doing some work in agriculture, and we're trying to figure out how, in Niger, we get the onions.
Right.
And they need hay, right? So we mapping out the route of getting the onions from Niger, and then we get the hay from Ghana, from some of the farms here to send to Niger, right? me doing that actively with Africans. I am Congolese in Ghana, working in Ghana and Nigeria. We are working on how we're gonna do trade. Not one time I'm thinking about invading Niamey. I'm thinking about, okay, we have hay, they have onions, we can collaborate in the region. Let's go and until. And that's the perversion that most people will start discussing about Kagame as Pan-Africanist. They're not understanding. Congo before 1994, we didn't have this problem. Rwandans have lived in Congo. We've gone to school with them. Some of them even graduated in school as Zairian. We didn't even know that they were Rwandans until they moved back. It was never a question. The same thing also with Angolans. I can't even talk about the story of South Africans during the apartheid regime. That we as Africans, we do not care really much about your nationality.
Yes.
That's why I'm using myself as an example, even in Ghana.
Yeah.
But if I'm, while being in Ghana,
My brother appears to have frozen. Is it just me? Somebody in the chat give me a signal. Our brother appears to. Are you back? Okay, I think we got you back.
Yes, I'm back. Apologies.
Okay, cool.
These things happen.
No problem. Go ahead.
Right. Yes. So, for when we're making economic arguments and using Kagame as a model and erasing the history, we're not understanding why what he's doing is very problematic. Right? We can go back even to the question of the national boundaries, right? We know it's artificial, but we will ask ourselves, why did Nasser, Kwame Nkrumah, and others, right, in 1963, they go to Addis, they launch the Organization of African Unity, and they say, right, that the boundary as is should remain intact. And they explain that, right, for the sake of African unity, for now, until we can be strong, let's make sure that these boundaries are as intact, and we're gonna work on regional cooperation. A UN report published, just not actually published, leaked to the press for the past week, right? Is the June report to the UN Security Council submitted. Right. Clearly stating what Kagame's endgame is. In that report, they're telling the Security Council, even though they signed the agreement, the facts on the ground show that Kagame is ready to take the Kivu provinces. Congolese have been saying that for the past 30 years.
Yeah.
We're talking about coltan and the refinery, and we've been saying it's beyond that. That there are a group of people who are trying to do that. If we allow that to happen, every other African country can do that. Why are we going to unite? You know what would have made sense? Is what's happening in the AES really happening in Rwanda and Congo.
Right.
It would have been a different story than Kagame saying, oh, I'm going to take North Kivu and South Kivu, rather than saying that Rwanda is going to be the 27th province of the Congo. Let's work together.
Yes.
That way, you're not just touching on the people of North Kivu or South Kivu, right? But you're getting access to the people of that land, and that collaboration is making Africa stronger. So people are not really analyzing these criminals. I mean, what they are doing is very criminal. We have to be very careful even about the economic argument. We do not need Washington. Like, I do not need Washington to tell me how to trade as a Congolese in Ghana with people in Niger.
Yes, absolutely.
Same should be true with Congolese and Rwandans who have to trade. If you are doing it fairly, if you're doing it humanly, you do not need Washington.
Absolutely. My brothers and sisters, we're speaking to Brother Kambale Musavuli, one of the key activists of our Congo diaspora. right now. Our brother is active and very, very busy. I'm pleased to have him here because I know that, especially since this treaty was signed, he's been all and everywhere breaking it down for our people globally, brothers and sisters. So we appreciate his time and energy. If you have questions for our brother Kambale, please at Kimbunga Media in the chat. So I know that your question is for our brother. I'll put it to him. And you can make a comment as well. So if you want me to read out, even if it's a comment that you want him to consider, feel free to do so, and I'll get to it very, very shortly, brothers and sisters. All right. So my brother, let us get into some more very recent developments, and there's so much more we can get into with regards to this treaty. Oh, by the way, one thing I do want to highlight is the pantomime and the circus of everybody that visits the White House at the moment, nominating Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. That whole circus was, especially as it relates to African people, is just ridiculous. Yeah. And I was so sickened, my brother. I confess I didn't even watch the video. Yeah, of this supposed journalist bowing before Trump symbolically, and offering, nominating him for a Nobel Peace Prize, to the point where he had to stop her and tell her how beautiful she was. Anyway, I heard about it. Stupid. I didn't even watch the video, my brother. I was so sickened by hearing about that bloody circus. But so I just want to point that out, that everybody that's been to the White House in recent months seems to be nominating Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. And if you believe that is not orchestrated and part of the script, then you're an idiot. Yeah. But the issue that we have now, my brother, is that we have a situation in which a number of high-profile people from varying corporations have found themselves in the Congo in recent weeks, in the space of a month. Yeah, from by my reckoning. I'm made to understand Bill Gates was there. I'm made to understand Amazon. What's his name?
Bezos.
Bezos. Yeah, or a representative thereof was there. And you informed me just before we went live that Eric Prince, the founder of Blackwater, and currently the head of the Frontier Resources Group, has been in Congo in the last month as well. Now, this is extremely, extremely important because but a year ago, Eric Prince went on record publicly stating that the African continent needs to be recolonized. This head of Blackwater, for those who don't know, sorry, the founder of Blackwater, which is a private military, a mercenary group at the behest of the interest of the United States government, brothers and sisters. Let's bear that in mind. Has been who in the last year has stated publicly that Africa needs to be recolonized, has been in the Congo in the last week or so. So just speak to that dynamic, my brother, and all these big corporation heads and big capitalists entering the Congo.
I mean, they're following the signal of their leader, Trump. Trump has signaled that Congo is open for business. He's done that PR on Truth Social, and they all sold the world Congo. They wonder, say, wait a minute, you were talking about the prisoners coming, now you're talking about business. Even on the personal level, I've been contacted by some investment groups in the US, in California, for insights on the issue. I have not gotten this type of contact for decades. Like, why are they reaching out? Because they went online, saw what I say, right, and they want to get the insight. And then
No, brother. They don't just want to get the insight. They want to see if you can be bought. Yeah, that is the deal. They want to see if Kambale Musavuli can be bought, or whether he's too much like Lumumba. That is what's going on. But go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
So for Bill Gates, Bill Gates went to the Congo. When he left the Congo, he signed a deal. How much is the deal for? $1 billion.
Right.
What is it for? A lithium mine. Where? In Manono. So let me I'm doing too much of this.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you what's going on.
Bill
Gates owns a company called Cobalt Metals. Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are the investors in the company. The company operates in Congo and it operates also in Zambia. It's a mining company that uses artificial intelligence to find minerals. Okay. They've moved into the Congo, and the largest lithium reserve in the world is in the Congo. The largest in the world is in the Congo. We're talking about coltan. We're talking about cobalt. We haven't talked about lithium yet, right? Lithium at Manono. He has bought that mine for $1 billion while we are all looking at the finger instead of the sun. And it happened. It's in the press. If you just Google Bill Gates, cobalt metals, signing of $1 billion. Why is the Microsoft guy, the Bill Gates, Melinda Gates Foundation guy, buying a mine of lithium? Second, Starlink has gotten their license to operate in Congo now. Add on to that, the world.
Sorry, brother. Just to clarify, Starlink is a company, a corporation owned by Elon Musk, yeah, of Tesla, X, etc., etc. Starlink is his thing that they deal with space, travel, exploration, and so on and so forth. They work very, very closely with NASA and the American government. So go ahead, brother.
So, but for the past probably 5 years, a lot of tech companies have been operating in DRC. Like Google provides fiber optic to DRC at a very cheap cost through Liquid Telecom, if I'm not mistaken, but they are beaming fiber optic through the airwaves. It's not underwater, right? It comes underwater in Congo Brazzaville. They have this big beam stick pole, and they're beaming it across the river. That's happening in DRC now. I think Rackspace and a few other companies are building data centers. Netflix is building the data centers in DRC. Yeah. Do you know why all of this is happening while Africans are asleep? Congo has 120 million people, and it's projected that our population is going to double in the next 15 years. It's the fourth largest African country by population. It's the second by size. It's not by accident that the World Bank is funding the Inga Dam, because they need the energy for the data centers, for the mining, all the operations that they need to do in DRC. By the time we wake up, we'll start wondering, why didn't we pay attention? And they're not doing it for Africans. That's why when we started the show, I said, we have to pay attention about what's happening in the Congo. They are literally taking Africa's future away, and people are not realizing that they are robbing us. Right?
Absolutely.
So all of that, all this company, and now to Eric Prince. Eric Prince hasn't been there for just months. He's been there probably for over 5 years. Right. He first came in he was trying to start insurance company. Insurance scheme. I don't know what happened with that insurance scheme. Then he started trying to see how he can provide private security. Then also how he can provide support for mining sites. So that's why the Frontier Resources came in. But he sold Blackwater, right? And he sold it, and some of his soldiers, mercenaries, were found guilty, because of the killings that they've made. But guess who pardoned them? Donald Trump pardoned all the Blackwater guys. They all have been pardoned. Right? And now with this deal, he's been flying in and out of DRC, and he's offered his services for security. Right? Officially, on the Reuters article, he quotes a State Department official saying that on the mineral security deal, the U.S. is considering engaging someone like Eric Prince. So they didn't say directly Eric Prince. So Eric Prince is in Congo. He has tied to Trump. That his soldiers have been pardoned, and he's operating on a security level. And it's happening at the same time. And no one actually knows concretely what he's doing. But when you listen to Congolese, from at least information I'm getting, is that he's operating out of Uvira. We have to get the official statement of that. But from at least my sources, he's there with some military personnel in some shape and form in Uvira, which is in South Kivu.
Absolutely.
But how, from even your statement that you made, right? You shared. This is the guy who says that Africa should be recolonized. How can he be moving in Congo and nobody knows? It's, especially at the moment where I'm saying there is a revival of Pan-Africanism, that we must monitor. We must understand why the people of Kenya are rising. We must understand what's happening, even I think in Mauritania, right? People don't know that there is uprising happening in Mauritania right now. That the guy who went to Washington does not represent the interest of the people of Mauritania. They've been in the streets since he came back from Washington. So start seeing that because we're not paying attention to some key places, and we already have the blueprint, that we may not have a guaranteed future for a strong Pan-African movement, because the hearts, which is the DRC, with its wealth, with its resources, is being literally taken by Western power. And I didn't still make yet the argument of why they're doing it at this critical juncture. Because one, they can't compete against China. The only way for you to compete against China is to control the mineral wealth that makes the strength of the AI revolution.
Yes.
That is why even in the US military today, you have, what do they call it? Department 201 or Battalion 201. They made the executive of OpenAI, of Meta, and two other technology firms, Lieutenant Colonel of the US Army.
Yes.
They didn't go to this boot camp military training. All they know is how to harness AI technology. Right? And I think it's Blackwater. I'm sorry. I think it's OpenAI, Palantir, Meta, Facebook, and one more company. That the executives of this company at the top level, CTOs of these companies, have become soldiers in the US Army. They have a battalion called Department 21, if I'm not mistaken, or Battalion 201, where they will see how to use AI technology to support the military. Now, you can't have that happen without Congo's lithium, Congo's cobalt, Congo's copper. So who controls most of critical minerals in the DRC? It's China. How do you counter China? You get the elites of that country to come to you and put on a silver platter the mineral resources needed for the fourth industrial revolution. Like we literally back, I keep saying it, we're back at the Berlin conference, the carving up of the African continent, where Congo was at the center. Like Africa is being carved, and Congo again is at the center of it. While at least now, we can have access to information, and that's the call. That now that we have the information, we must act. We can't just let it be another intellectual discussion. We know what we have to do to stop them. We have to say everywhere that the elite of the Congo do not represent the Congolese people. We have to say neighboring countries, Rwanda, Uganda, invading the Congo. We have to say these multinationals are benefiting. We have to call out the United States and United Kingdom for the interference in the DRC, and we must support the progressive forces on the ground as they struggle to regain control of the Congo.
Brothers and sisters, one of the things that I'm going to be bringing next month for the month of Messiah is a analysis of one of the editorials that Marcus Garvey wrote for the Negro World newspaper called Capitalism and the State, where he was breaking down the relationship between big corporate bosses of his time and the war machine, and the meaning and the reasoning behind wars. Our brother has just broken down exactly the point of that particular article. We'll get into it next month, brothers and sisters, but it's amazing what is taking place. And just to reiterate, what the peace treaty says, this is extremely important without in terms of what our brother has just broken down. He says that the peace treaty says the parties shall use this framework to expand foreign trade and investment derived from regional critical mineral supply chains and introduce greater transparency, which shall ensure illicit economic pathways are blocked and both parties derive greater prosperity, especially for the region's population from the region's natural resources through beneficial partnerships and investment opportunities. It goes on to talk about bilateral integration, and under bilateral integration, it says under the framework, the parties shall launch and or expand cooperation on shared priorities such as national park management, hydropower development, de-risking of mineral supply chains, joint management of resources in Lake Kivu, and transparent, formalized end-to-end mineral value chains from mine to processed metal that link both countries in partnership as appropriate with the US government and its investors. Yeah. Now, just understand that aspect of the actual peace treaty and put it in the context of everything that our brother Kambale Musavuli has just broken down for us, and you will see, yes, you will see the relationship between white corporations and white governments is ever eternal, and is a defining characteristic of the global economy as we know it. My brother, we're approaching the end. I just want to make sure I get to some of the questions and comments. There's only a few before we close. Our brother Talawa is asking, what do you think creates and reinforces the puppet for non-black system? What do you think creates and reinforces the puppet for non-black system?
I don't know if I understand the question properly, but I'll try to respond to it
I think I can explain. The puppet for non-black system is basically the system in which Africans are used for non-black interests, non-African interests. And so he's asking, what do you consider is creating and reinforcing this dynamic?
I was about to say capitalism, and I hope for the person asking that question, right, they can appreciate what I share with that. Everything that's happening in the Congo is caused by capitalism and imperialism. You can have one leader today. That's why I explained for Mobutu, right? Mobutu was there. Laurent Désiré Kabila was there. Kabila was there. Tshisekedi. When we're looking at the end results that the people face, right, it appears to be the same thing. And we know the counter to capitalism is scientific socialism. Not because I say it, but because we've lived it, right? Kwame Nkrumah applies scientific socialism in Ghana. Till today, the road that I take from Accra to Tema is a road that he built. He used the resources of the country to build infrastructure of the country that will benefit the Ghanaians. So we know that what's causing our chaos right now is because we embrace a model, economic model that doesn't serve us, that produces these puppets, these agents of neocolonialism, and they will continue to be produced as long as we continue to use that same system. When we change it, the system, and we fight for it, then we get a different result. And we as Africans, we're not talking about it theoretically. We have done so. The independence movement was connected to Pan-Africanism from the Manchester Conference, saying that a united Africa under scientific socialism had very strong fruit from 1945 to 1960. That scared the imperialists. If Africans can unite to free themselves and become independent, then we don't exist. And they invested millions to billions of dollars to make sure that all these movements across the continent fell. We are watching it right now. There is a revival of Pan-Africanism where we're seeing what's happening in Burkina Faso. And we have the head of the US military in the Pentagon, right? AFRICOM, threatening an African leader who's using a different path. He's not a puppet of the West, right? But if we allow that to happen, then that capitalist system will continue. I think that's what I can share, and maybe we could discuss that with on another one. But it's capitalism is what's creating this puppet.
My brother, our next one is asking, So nowhere does it say stop attacking Tutsis. And this is in relation to the treaty, and I can confirm the term Tutsi is not mentioned in the treaty anywhere. Yeah, there's no mention of Tutsis, Hutus, or anything in the treaty. So yeah, you know what I mean. I'll we can dispense with that right there. If you get another question in the next couple of minutes, my brothers and sisters, we'll get them in. If not, please do forever hold your peace. Not forever, but for the time being. And we'll come back to you, my brother. You've broken things down expertly, and I should inform you that, and I'm resisting the what's the word, the urge to go down an ideological debate route, because there's debates around scientific socialism and etc etc etc.
Definitely.
Right, I'm resisting the urge to go down that road right today.
You should not resist, right? In my view, as Africans,
yes,
we should be. You see that when you spoke, you read that quote from I'm not sure if you read or I mentioned it about Patrice Lumumba, that we as free and liberated people should have that openness to critique. I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is true and should be applied the way it is, right? But what I do know, our enemy is capitalism.
No,
we are very clear of that, right?
Yeah,
we are not. How do we embrace those views? Oh, go ahead.
Absolutely. No. We're not going to disagree on your assessment of capitalism. That's not where the disagreement would be. Yeah. But at the same time, the reason why I'm resisting the urge to go down that road is because it's important, but it's not paramount in this conversation. Yeah. What is paramount in this conversation is an assessment of what is happening with our people in the Congo and our people in Rwanda, and informing our people about that. Yeah. There will be enough time for us to debate the merits and demerits of scientific socialism, and whether we should apply the terminology or the theory or Marxism, or we have enough time for all of that. Today is not that day. That's the only point I'm making. Yeah. So why I'm emphasizing it as well, brother, because sometimes we can get bogged down in the ideological debate and lose sight of the masses of our people. And I don't want to do that today. Yeah. So another day we'll definitely get in that conversation. When I come visit you in Ghana, we'll sit down, you know what I'm saying, in front of some some banku and tilapia, and we'll have that conversation. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, sir. All right. So before we close, is there anything that's important that we haven't touched on today that you just want to bring to the forefront?
The last part broke off when you were speaking.
Sorry, I said I just want to make sure if there's anything that we haven't touched on today that you think is imperative for us to speak on, just feel free to take the opportunity to bring it to the forefront.
Oh yes, I mean specific for the agreement. We discussed the contents, the dynamics of it, but we left out the people. This agreement was not done in consultation with the Congolese people at all. We know what the Congolese people have asked for. They've asked for justice. They're expecting a tribunal. What they're expecting that as a symbol is a space where those who commit crimes can face justice, right? So they're calling for that, and they've been yearning for that aspect. Nowhere in that document there is a reflection of even something close to here's something for you, the Congolese people. It's mostly foreign interest. So when you look at it that way, then you know it doesn't represent the interest of the people, and the people have not stopped fighting. No, they are still fighting. They are speaking out. The government in DRC is on over time trying to explain themselves, but people can't see through what is happening. So whatever they sign in Washington, we stay in Washington. We will continue to fight until they free and liberate the Congo.
Absolutely. Just to buttress your point, my brother, the word justice also does not appear anywhere in the document. Yeah. There is no talk of justice. Yeah. There is no talk of trial and conviction. There is no talk, you know what I'm saying, of any recompense, reparation, You know what I'm saying? Now, think about, brothers and sisters. This is a situation in which tens of millions of people have died since the 1990s. Okay? There is no way to resolve a situation like that. I believe my brother said this earlier, without discussing justice, without discussing reparations. No talk, my brothers and sisters, of sexual violence. Yes, against the women of the Congo. None. And justice in relation to these crimes. There is nothing. This is a peace treaty. It's an insult, brothers and sisters, to our ancestors that we go before these demons in Washington, D.C. and sign the lives of our people away for the interest of the American government and American corporations so openly. Because this is not even a situation where we can say, well, yeah, they signed a peace treaty and then surreptitiously the corporations came in. The corporations are written into the treaty. Yes, in so many words, they're written into the treaty. It's not even clandestine at this point. It's such an insult in the month of the birth of Papa Patrice Lumumba for this to be the major talking point coming out of the Congo. It is an insult of the highest order. And I hope our people can understand it. And I hope that our show today is, if anything, but a small contribution towards us being able to educate our people to that effect. My brother Kambale Musavuli, we appreciate you, my brother. We appreciate you for being dutiful. We appreciate you for being diligent. We appreciate you for reading through all of the long documentation and the long reports. Yes, whether they're leaked surreptitiously or published openly. We appreciate you, my brother, for loving our people so much to go through all of that and avail yourself to break it down for us in such a beautiful, loving, and expert fashion as you always do. So thank you, my brother. We're sure we're going to have you back again at some point, but we appreciate your service this evening. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you.
And love to your family and your children.
Thank you. See you in Accra.
Absolutely, my brother. Absolutely. Peace and blessings. All right, brothers and sisters, that was our brother Kambale Musavuli, over there in Accra, Ghana. Our powerful Congolese brother is doing some beautiful work, and we just truly appreciate the brother and the work that he is doing, and the fact that he is fighting for our people in the Congo, but within a Pan-African context. We love that. Our brother doesn't just fight for the people of the Congo because he is from the Congo. Our brother fights for the people of the Congo because he is an African. Yes. And our people in the Congo are African, and he extends that fight from the Congo to the rest of Africa. And you heard him speak about his work, whilst he's living in Ghana and trying to connect up, independent trade between our people in Ghana and our people in was it Mali or Niger? Our brother said one of the two. Well, either way, it's good movements, and we love that, as well as all of the journalism and the research that our brother is doing. So we appreciate you all. All right, brothers and sisters, we're going to close out our show. Let me remind you of the fact that the month of Mosiah approaches, and we shall be opening the month with the Mosiah opening ceremony on the 3rd of Mosiah, on Mojah Day Sunday, the 3rd of Mosiah, which is they refer to as August, from 12 p.m. at the Chestnuts Community Center. For those who are not residing in the UK, not worry not. At least elements of our opening ceremony will make their way to you via Kimbunga Media. So do stay tuned. The keynote address will be delivered by my father, Brother Leader Bandaka, on the imperative of nationhood. And as I mentioned, my father, let me just remind brothers and sisters that he delivered a 2-part presentation on Kimbunga Media a few months ago entitled The Kagame Enigma. Yes. And I'm mentioning it because our brother Kambale spoke about the Pan-African attempt to develop regional political and economic unity continental economic and political unity. And there are my father, Brother Leader Mandaka, broke down some of those attempts as it relates specifically to the region of Central Africa in general, and Congo, DRC, and Rwanda in particular. Yes, and he spoke about how some of those who were considered royals and other aspects of the society, of our people groups in Central Africa, were attempting to challenge the colonial and the neo-colonial agenda through developing greater unity, political and economic unity among our people in that region. And if those, and every single person that my father highlighted was in fact assassinated, yes, was in fact assassinated. And he implores us to think about what the region would have looked like had it not been for the fact that those people were in fact taken out by the forces of Bakra imperialism, brothers and sisters. Yeah. So do stay tuned for more from Kimbunga Media. We appreciate, I know, brothers and sisters, I should say this as well, that I haven't gone live for an open discussion for quite some time, and I'm aware of that. So I'm going to try and make that happen within the next couple weeks. Yeah, just like we go live and it's open house, so it's open up the floor and people can come live. A few people have asked me about that in various social media when I've seen them in person. So yeah, do stay tuned. Yeah. For that. All right. I was tempted, to do this on Mojane Sunday after my interview with our brothers and sisters at the Imaginal Kebalan and Kumbukeni. Shout out to our brother Oladele and our sister Nduku for hosting me on that show. We was able to break down some Garveyism on that show, and we're getting a good response from that as well. So we appreciate all those who came through that show. I was tempted to go just run a random live after that and invite people to come chat with Taban, but we'll engage in that another day. And we do hope that you come through for that particular open house and let's interact. It's good to have some interaction every now and then. And with that, we say unto thee, Tendai Mwali, we're thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe, Kudzai, Mudzimu, Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors because our great ancestors are worthy to be praised. Abibi Tomi, Abibi Fahode, African power and African liberation for all African people. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Black people, we have to fight. Egungu, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Dandara, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Makandalo, you see us. Ogu, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Nana John, Henry Clark, you see us.
We have to fight. Let's go fight.
to fight. Let's go fight.
Oh,
Black people, we have to fight. Nana Zumbi, oh, you see us. We have to fight.
let's go fight. Oh,
Black people, we have to fight. Nana Hannibal, you see us. Oh, we have to fight. Let's go fight. Black people, we have to fight. Ancestors, oh, you see us. We have to fight. Let's go fight.
We have to have the courage to construct our own reality. And that's what Garvey was talking about. Because he said he looked around, he didn't see what he thought should be there. And so what did he do? He didn't get depressed about it. He didn't get defeated about it. He said, I'm going to build the government that we need to have. Ooh. Where do you get that kind of boldness from? So we got to go all the way back to Garvey, who said he would come again. He said he would be here with us, no matter how long it took. And I'm telling you that the way he comes back is in our work. Not honoring him in words, pomp, and all of that stuff, but honoring him through doing what he did. How many of us have the courage to do that? The man took on the world for us and in our name. And then we come to Sodai. And in this presentation of the paradigm, I'm going to make this like what it is we want to reach. So Sodai is translated clear word in Dogana language. And I use it to mean that here we gain understanding. This is sight with understanding. And it is seeing beyond what just we think we see with this physical thing. It's seeing beyond that. And so we gain vision, because that's what vision is. With vision, you've got to be able to use the imagination informed by the African spirit. And Brother Amos, who I work very closely with, was a good friend of mine. He taught me, and he would talk about imagination. Image a nation. Do you see? But that's got to be part of vision. To be a visionary, you got to see beyond this box here. You got to see beyond the ma'afa. You got to see what is it that our people rightfully should have, and that's what Garvey did. Garvey had a vision.